Hello, welcome to episode 2, the Epic Film Challenge 2. Hugo from 2011. I thought it was fitting, seeing as the first film we reviewed for this, out of this book. Again, I won't do this every episode, but you know, we're in our early days. 1001 movies you must see before you die. The first page of this is A Trip to the Moon, which we reviewed in the first episode. And on the last page is Hugo from 2011, which is kind of fitting because...
Last page?
Yeah.
Or the whole thing?
Yeah. So it's kind of fitting because A Trip to the Moon is kind of featured in some way in Hugo. Now, I think what I've decided we're going to do for this Epic Film Challenge 2 is to basically anything that might spoil parts of the film, we'll just do it at the end of the video. We'll just call it the spoiler section. Okay. You know, anyway, just follow my lead.
You should put up like a thing.
Could do, yeah.
Like just a text spoiler section.
Ding 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 ding. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, some kind of sound effect. Oh god.
Oh, it's raining now. Anyway.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hugo, 2011, directed by Martin Scorcese, and it is about a boy called Hugo Cabret. It's an adaptation of a book, I think, called The Invention of Hugo Cabret. And it's about a boy who lives on his own in a train station in Paris, and he kind of runs all the clocks. He's good with machinery and fixing things, and he's trying to collect pieces to fix this automaton that he has. And what an automaton is kind of a human-like or a animal-like machine that kind of operates by a clockwork. And he has a little kind of man with a really kind of eerie kind of metal face, and we find out that he was working on it with his father and he's trying to fix it. And he's trying to kind of steal bits and pieces from this toy shop in the station, which is run by Ben Kingsley's character, George. And so it's just this weird kind of intriguing story, and it kind of rolls into this mystery, and there's this kind of fun kind of feel to it. Chloë Grace Moretz plays Isabel, I think was her name. She's a girl who is, I guess George, Ben Kingsley, has her under his care. I don't think that he's her godfather, so she's around every now and again. She kind of meets Hugo and befriends him and stuff. We have Sacha Cohen, who I'm not really a fan of, to be honest. I liked Ali G back in the 2000s, but when it got to, like, you know, Borat and what was that other one he did, the gay character, Bruno, was it? Wasn't a fan of that. Dictator I saw about half an hour of, and that was just a god-awful movie.
Why would you even start watching it?
Oh, I was kind of forced to with my cousin. And Ben, if you're watching this, why did you subject me to that? But there you go. Yes, and he plays the kind of the inspector of the station, and he's kind of like the bad guy who's trying to catch all the kids who are orphans to lock them up and stuff. Yeah, and I think it's a great film. It was shot in 3D for the first time by Martin Scorcese. Well, it's kind of the first kids film he's done as well, I think. It's very visual, with all like the clocks and the machinery and all that kind of thing. And, yeah, what did you think of it?
I was surprised because for some reason I thought it was an animated movie. So when we started watching it, I was like, what? It's actually real. And so I went into this movie totally blind. Isn't that what you say?
Yep.
No idea what I was going to watch. I just knew there was a kid involved. Blind. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was impressed by the acting of the little kid.
Yes.
He was brilliant. Parts of it was a little put on, but of course acting is. But you know, it was just, I was thinking, okay, I know you're supposed to play this kind of emotion, but a little bit too much. But it was really good. I'm impressed by it. The girl as well, she reminded me a little bit of Hermione in Harry Potter.
It almost seemed at times that her voice was dubbed over because she just does a very British accent.
Alright, well yeah. The story was nice. I enjoyed the story. It was very, I don't know, it was like a kids movie for grown-ups, because I can imagine this movie being a little bit too dark, almost not dark, but the way the old man is playing, it's very.
It's very high emotions running throughout the film.
Yeah.
Even from the get-go, in the first 5 minutes or the first 10 minutes, you know, that it's kind of a deep emotional kind of thread running through the whole film. Really.
If I was a 10-year-old, the only thing that would keep me going through the movie would probably be the Bruno guy with a dog, because it would be funny for a kid, and there were other scenes in the movie as well which kind of like kept it going, and I don't know, for me, I enjoy the movie because I enjoy those kinds of movies, but for a kid, I think it might be a little bit too complicated and boring because the whole story was kind of complicated with the whole director guy.
I would kind of disagree because I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I remember seeing films with kind of high emotional scenes in them that were also kind of kids' movies. And
you were a different kind of kid.
You
liked like complicated stuff. You liked using complicated vocabularies when you were a kid. You know?
That is true.
From what I've heard, you watched Alien when you were 2 or 1. When you were, you know, you've always been allowed to watch grown-up movies, and so you kind of grown up with grown-up movies. Whilst other kids grow up with Disney and cartoons, and then they go up from there.
I think these days films are getting more and more kind of adultish. I think the balance was right in the film for kids and adults, but you know, I don't know. Anyway, so Hugo, I thought was brilliant. You know, we had some other kind of great actors in it. Emily Mortimer, who had a very small part. Richard Griffiths, the late Richard Griffiths. You know, the big guy who was in Harry Potter and you know and so on. Christopher Lee. It was great to see Christopher Lee.
That was cool.
He's just a legend. I love Christopher Lee, and he said on one of the extras on the Blu-ray that it was about time he got to work with Martin Scorcese. There was one thing he kind of wanted to check off the list.
I enjoyed a lot of the shots.
Yes, it was very well shot. I mean,
but there were some things,
very visual.
Yeah, though there were some things in the movie that I just went kind of like, how is that like how would they know that, or why is that place that? That wouldn't happen. Blah blah blah. I always try to see the logic in movies.
Yeah.
And this movie in particular is realistic. And so I was looking for realistic things, and when things didn't really add up, I get really critical about it.
Well, there's kind of an air of fantasy about it as well, kind of like a children's tale, and you know, just the way it kind of looks and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was a weird mixture of a very adult main theme, where they just threw in a lot of childish things in it, and so it's, to me, that's kind of confusing because it's kind of weird when I thought it was a kids movie, and then I think it's more for adults, and then suddenly it's a kids movie, and it kind of jumped back and forth, and so it was a little bit messy for me that way.
Okay.
But that's because I'm trying to think of it as a kid as well, and a critic.
Okay, so before we get into the spoiler kind of section, is this a film that you must see before you die? For me, I would say yes. It's hard to say that about a film that came out in 2011, but I do feel in 10, 20 years' time it will be seen as something of a classic. I just think it's a brilliant film, kind of a masterpiece. Not a huge, you know, masterpiece like this is one of the greatest films ever made, but definitely I think if you're a film fan, you should see this film before you die. And that kind of ties in with what will be kind of spoiled at the end of this video. So what would you?
I agree.
Yeah? You agree? Okay. Now the spoiler part of it, just because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, is that Ben Kingsley's character, George, he turned out to be the legendary filmmaker George Méliès, who made A Trip to the Moon, and among 500 other films. And you kind of see, you know, elements of A Trip to the Moon, and kind of we actually see clips from A Trip to the Moon in this, which is fantastic. And there's a sequence where Hugo and Isabel, they're looking up movies in this book, and it goes into a sequence about the beginnings of cinema, and we actually see clips from like films from the 1895 and
that was
stuff
really
like
cool.
that. Really awesome. Personally, I love stuff like that because I just love the history of movies. And one thing also that I didn't realise, I saw it on the Blu-ray. Do you remember the train crash sequence that Hugo dreams? That's an exact replication of an actual train crash that actually happened like that in 1895. A train
With
actually.
a kid on the track.
No, but the train went through the window onto the street.
Really?
Yeah. And there's like a featurette about how they matched it to make it look almost exactly like that.
Okay. That's
That
one
was
of the
really-
things that I didn't like about the thing, about the movies, because it's the end of the track, and Hugo is on the track. It's clearly the end of the track. Any normal train would know that it was the end of the track and they wouldn't slow down anyways. But they're going full speed towards the end of the track. And then they're like, oh my god, there's a kid, we have to stop. You're supposed to fucking stop.
It's a flight of fancy, it's, you know, it's suspension of disbelief, it's a film, it makes it more
It happened
tense.
in the dream and in the reality. So
Yeah.
I was
I remember
about that
when
because it makes no sense.
Yeah, when it was the dream sequence, you were like, oh, well, that's okay then, but then it did actually happen later on.
Yeah, and that annoyed me quite a bit.
Yeah, so we also get to see, like, when Ben Kingsley's character finally loosens up and talks about his history of making films,
cool.
We get to see, like, you know, kind of a little, it's almost like a fan film about George Méliès, really. It's not completely true, but there's a lot of true elements in it, and such as his wife, because his wife in the film, in 1931, when the film is set, he had two wives. His second wife didn't work with him on the films, so they kind of just made that kind of a bit more cute, I think, for the...
Not at the same time, I hope.
No. But of course, it's all from the book, you know, and I thought it was a great idea by the guy who wrote the book to tie in this kind of great history of filmmaking and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, Hugo, awesome film. Go check it out.
Good in 3D.
Although if you've been watching this far, then you probably have already seen it. If not, I've probably spoiled a lot of things for you. But
yeah, but some people don't care about.
yeah, I guess it's not.
Care about spoilers.
In terms of spoilers, it's not that big. But for me, I didn't know about it when I first watched the film, and it was really cool to kind of discover it along with the mystery of the film and stuff. So there you go. Anything else you want to add?
No.
No. Thanks for watching.